once again, today we're going to be learning about local search engine optimization. I will keep an eye on the chat. There'll also be about 15 or 20 minutes at the end for any questions and answers. So for those that may not know me or you haven't attended one of my webinars or courses before, I'll do a quick little intro. My name is Samantha Gernhardt. I am the owner of Clarity Marketing and Design. And I used to live in BC, so we just moved to Ontario early March 2020. So I've been in Brantford now for 2 years on the dot. We moved just before the pandemic exploded. The only perk to that was that I didn't need to unpack because nobody was coming over. Nobody was allowed to come over. I've been in business for over 16 years. This coming summer will be my 17th year in business, which is just crazy. I had it before kids, husband, everything. When I describe to people what I do when it comes to my business, I provide marketing, web, and graphic services to clients all over Canada because I spent about 17 years in British Columbia. My background education is in marketing management and web development. So I am a coder. I can look at the code of a website and understand how it's supposed to work. The really nerdy stuff. I'm a busy mom to 3 kids, 10, 6, and 4. And I really love teaching and sharing the knowledge, hence these free webinars that I do. Right now, I'm also teaching with Conestoga College 3 web development courses. So my coding and nerdy courses as part of their web development program. And then I also have done quite a few webinars through the BRC, the Brantford Resource Center. I have one upcoming next week with the Laurier Women's Entrepreneurship Center. And then we've been doing our own monthly one also. So what we'll do, there's a small group of us. So if you want to keep your video on, you're more than welcome to. Sometimes if there's a large group, I'll say you might want to turn those off just for internet, trying to keep up with everything. Definitely keep scenes mute, but there will be chances for questions and where you can unmute, or you can put the questions in the chat. We'll definitely, while I'm chatting and presenting, we'll want everyone on mute. And I've got a couple questions, so throw these in the chat. I want to just kind of know where you're at with SEO. So search engine optimization. Have you heard of it before? Some people maybe dabbled in their own SEO. Does your website currently have SEO? Do you know? What platform are you using for your website? Just in case there are some additional resources I can send out, I would need to know what type of website yours is in. Because doing SEO on a WordPress site and SEO on a Shopify site and stuff like that are different steps. And what's the #1 thing you're hoping to learn today? Or are you just taking it because it's just some information for you to absorb and see? So throw those in the chat. I'd love to know more. It just helps me see where the attendees are currently at with the topic that I'm discussing. We have basic, and the website does have it. That's good. He's ready for the website. Heard of SEO, but not really sure what it is. Just recently launched my website and have no idea what to do from here. Yes, you're in the right place, because this will be an overview of just what SEO is, what's the purpose of it, and what goes into it. It's a lot of work. Great. There are people who just specialize in SEO. Like that's their full-time job. It's definitely a beast. There is definitely a method to the madness if you're good at it. But people can have just a full-time career in providing search engine optimization or search engine marketing, like SEM or SEO services. Okay, well, thank you for that. You can continue to put that in there. I'll move on. So what is search engine optimization? So we always see SEO. That's the common term for it. Search engine optimization is the process of improving the quality and quantity of website traffic to a website or a web page from search engines. So here's just a little screenshot I put in there of an example of what we might see when we are doing a search in Google. I always refer to Google because that's probably the most commonly used one when it comes to our browser, especially living in Canada. And so we'll see the URL. So if you look at this little screenshot, we'll see the URL of that web page. Then in blue is the page title or the website title. And then we see a bit of a description. And so we want to show up where people are searching for us in the search engine results. So when they're putting in those keywords or some terms, sometimes it's a question, sometimes it's a whole sentence. If it's applicable and it's relevant, we want to be showing up to them because then it helps them find us. So what is local search engine optimization? So there's a bit difference when we really try to do local search engine optimization. So it is the process of optimizing a business, product, or service for a search query that is location specific. Google uses a user's location based on IP address and geolocation. So one's for desktop, one is for mobile, to determine what results to show the user. So when someone performs a local search for a dentist, a car wash, or a locksmith, the search engine will display local businesses relevant to their location. The majority of these searches take place on Google, but for better optimization in your local area, you should also use sites like Yelp, Yellow Pages, Angie's List, LinkedIn, local business directories, and social media channels. So I use this all the time. And I mostly use it through my Google Maps when I am looking for a specific local business. I use it on my mobile. I pull up the Google Maps and I'll search for that business or that type of business to see what is nearby so that I can also see their hours. I hardly ever will do a search like that now when it's location specific on my computer. So if you attended in my webinars before, I always like to throw in these little stats here and there. The origin of local SEO can be traced back to 2003, 2005, when search engines tried to provide people with results in their vicinity, as well as additional information such as opening times of a store, listing in a map, etc. So how does SEO work? So the local searches trigger Google to display two types of results on the results page. So the results page is what we see after we've typed some stuff in. Local organic results and the local pack. I've got a screenshot to show you next to break it down. The local organic results include web pages related to the search query with local relevance. These often include directories such as Yelp, Yellow Pages, Facebook, etc. And the local pack displays businesses that have signed up with Google and have taken ownership of their Google My Business listing. So let me show you what I mean. So at the top, we have our map, and usually about 3 to 4 listings will show up under that. So in that section is what we call the local pack. And these are Google business listings. And if you've attended any of my webinars before, usually this also always comes up. If you don't have a Google business listing, definitely get one. It is free and it does help. And then below our local pack, we have our organic search results. So this is how we can try to show up down there with implementing SEO on our website. But then I also want to mention that actually above the map, depending on the search that we're looking for or putting in, above the map will be about 3 or 4 other listings that kind of look like are organic search results, and those are Google ads. And they'll have that little square saying ad. They want them to look as natural as possible because I forget the stat. How is this? I always forget the stat. I think it's about 50% of people don't know that is an ad and will click it. So Google ads show up first. And then we have our local snack pack, which is with our Google business listing. And then we have our organic search results of the SEO we've implemented on our own site. So it's really unfortunate that we work hard on our website, we add in the SEO, and it shows up down there. So that's why it's good to also make sure you have a Google business listing, and maybe down the road, think about Google ads. If the goal that you're trying to complete with your ads works with Google ads. So why is local SEO important? So search engines use location to provide a better user experience. Searching for a specific business or service in a location triggers the local pack. And optimizing for local search will only get you found, but it will help you get found by people who are nearby and more likely to buy from you. 46% of searches on Google are seeking local information. I was just checking the chat here just to make sure. So as I say, any questions you have throughout, even if I might answer, still throw them in there so we don't forget. So why is SEO important in a nutshell? It helps us show up when people are searching for things that we offer or for things that we can help them with. So for me, when people are maybe searching, web designers in Brantford, that kind of thing, I want to be showing up. So here's some local SEO facts, because a lot of stats with it that can sometimes just blow my mind, but then also help people realize I really need to get on my SEO. I really need to improve this, or I need to see where my SEO is currently at because it's been a couple of years and someone did it a couple of years, or I've dabbled in it. 46% of all Google searches are looking for local information. 97% of people learn more about a local company online than anywhere else. 88% of searches for local businesses on a mobile device are either call or visit the business within 24 hours, which is very true. And I'm one of those stats. I can never remember the pet store down the road, or I don't have their number saved. So anytime, especially when we had to do those local pickups for businesses during the pandemic, I'd have to go into my Google Maps, search for the pet stores near me, and be like, oh, that's the one. And then I would call them, arrange a pickup, and go. Or now that they are open, I don't have to do pickup. I'm looking at my Google Maps for that local information of what their hours are, because I can never remember what their hours are. And I would usually go the same day. 61% of mobile searches are more likely to contact a local business if they have a mobile-friendly website. So here we're kind of pulling in your actual website. It's really important that you have a website and a Google business listing, but also that it's mobile friendly. Before I moved to Brantford, I was sales and marketing manager with a resort, and their website was actually not mobile friendly. And so once I came in, I looked at their Google Analytics, and I could see their percentage was about 60 to 80% of people coming to their site were coming on mobile. But then I went to their site on mobile and it didn't work properly. People couldn't even book. And I'm like, oh no, all the possible revenue or the possible bookings they could have been missing out on by not having a mobile friendly website. Near me or close by type searches grew more than 900% over 2 years. So if you're in Google, let's say you do want to find a business nearby and you start typing in, maybe even like web designers, Google will do those auto suggestions. And sometimes it will say near me or close by, or like restaurants near me or close by. And that means that they're being searched a lot. Search result information will send 70% of consumers to a physical store, and 92% of searches will pick businesses on the first page of local search results. And sometimes it can get really tough to be on that first page. Depends on your local competition, how long these other businesses have been around. Maybe your website is new. That will take time to get it on there. And it takes work to get your site on that first page, especially when there is a lot of competition locally in your industry. Is it doable? 100%. So let's talk about how to complete some SEO on your actual website. So when you hear on-site SEO, that means it's on your site, on your actual website. So there are many ways to help reinforce your location, your business location, your community, the city on your website. So the actual site pages. So if your business is in a particular location, we need to tell search engines and customers where you are. So you can include that information on some of the site pages. Homepage, your homepage copy should include your location, really like the city, not so much the address, ideally within your H1 tag. And then there's page title tags. You should use this strategy in the page titles for certain pages. Your homepage should be based on your main offering. So we have our homepage, and then we also have like about and services and contact. We also have meta descriptions. So this is where sometimes an SEO professional can come in, because some of the stuff might be like, what does this mean? So we would also go in and do meta descriptions. So your meta description would be the call to action to entice the user to visit the website from the search result. There's also your internal pages. An internal page would be the service or product of your business. And obviously this takes a slightly different format than from your home page. And then site-wide, we do things site-wide. Your business address and other relevant information could possibly be placed in the footer of your site. So when I do someone's SEO on their site, there's the overall website. I have to add it in places. And there's the home page, and then all the additional other pages. There's descriptions, obviously title tags, the actual content, and then alt tags of the images. So there's more than a handful of places that I have to implement SEO, but I have to do the research and stuff first. Just because I think, or maybe you think, that people are probably searching certain keywords for your business might not always be what they're actually searching. So there's Google tools to help you see what keywords are being searched for you to try and implement. There's lots of different ways we can create that list of keywords and terms and phrases that we can put in. Back in the day, you would put in the keywords all over the website. We call it keyword stuffing. If you remember those type of websites, you'd go and it would be like, for example, like web design Brantford, web design Brantford, web design Brantford, everywhere you could possibly put it. But Google doesn't want that anymore. They want it as organic as possible. They want it placed in a way that it's not looking like you're just stuffing it. They've created rules for that. So we also have to place it in a way that it'll make Google happy. So for business citations and local links, so a big part of SEO, this would not be part of the on-site SEO. It would be the off-site, but the big part of SEO is also backlinks, getting other websites to link back to you. It's actually quite important. Business citations help provide search engines with a better understanding of the business and where it is located. It helps build up prominence online. Here are some sources where you can look for citations and local links. So niche business lists specifically for your industry, trade associations and chamber of commerce, distributors, maybe suppliers, complementary businesses in the area, charities or sponsorship, and local press. So a couple of years ago, I can't remember when, maybe about 4 years ago, I registered a new domain. My original domain was my full business name, which made it really long. And now we know we don't want those long domains. So I let that one go and registered a new domain, redesigned my website, all that. But because it was a new domain, it affected my website all over again. So to help my SEO and showing up, I always join a chamber of commerce because those websites have been around forever. So their page rank is quite high. And for some time, and probably maybe even still today, because I also moved in the last couple of years, my information and listing will show up in that Chamber of Commerce search result before my actual website does. So I always do chambers of commerce for their directories. I know it's not always feasible for people to do it because chambers, it does cost. Always take a look to see if there's any local directories that are free or for minimal or lower cost. So one for Brantford is the Shop Brantford. So I found that when I moved and I got my business on that. And always local press. So Yellow Pages, the Google Business Listing, Yelp. So there's a lot of directories that you can get your business listed on to help. But the majority of them are not free. Localized content on your site. So a blog or a news section on your site is a great way to provide localized content to search engines that are not satisfied within your main pages. These areas also help you to capture users during the research phase. Your content does not always have to be a blog. So when I talk to people and I'm helping them create their site, like, well, I don't want a blog, but it could be utilized for lots of different purposes. Your business may be more suited to providing case studies in your blog, a portfolio or project pages that could be perfect for capturing customers during their purchasing phase. Could be industry news, board or member news. So it doesn't have to be a blog, and we don't have to name it blog. I think mine right now on my menu on my site, they're called Insights. I change the name all the time, but we don't have to label it blog, and it doesn't have to be a traditional blog. Localized content does not stop there. It could also be resource guides, presentations, technical specifications sheets, and the list goes on. You can find topics and keywords and phrases that people are searching from websites like Answer the Public and Also Ask. So there's actual websites that will help you see what people are commonly asking. And if it has to do with your industry, you make a blog post on it. I have certain questions or information that I'm always sending to people that I can turn into my own blog post, and then I'm sending them to my website instead of another blog post. So one was, it's a good example I'm always sending to people is Google Analytics. And I would always do a video for each person. And so now I have a blog post about Google Analytics, how it's used. I have a video that's on there. And so anytime that someone has a question about Google Analytics, I point them to my own blog post. If you have frequent questions or those kind of things that you're always putting an email together for, maybe that's a blog post. So some quick tips: review your competitors and local search results, what you should mimic and what you could do better. So for example, when I first moved to Brantford, obviously I'm going to look at my competition, and I saw some other directories that are listed on that I didn't know about. And so that helps me see what other directories I should also list my business on. Take the time to fill out your Google My Business sections. I actually have next Wednesday at 5 p.m. through the Laureate Women's Entrepreneurship Center. Today, that's not working. I am doing another Google My Business. It's a 2-hour one, but I do the Google My Business webinar quite often. It's very popular, and I go over the benefits, the pros, and how to utilize it. And it's a huge underutilized thing, and it's free. And they're always growing and adding to it too. Utilize Google posts. So in our Google My Business, we can actually do a post very similar to social media. So sometimes the type of posts I do on my social media, I can also then post it on my Google My Business. They do have an app. So from the everyday maintaining, I use the app. But for probably setup or making sure all the information is filled in, do it through your desktop or your computer. But for doing your daily, weekly, and monthly maintenance on it, use the app. Ask your customers for reviews and reply. We call this reputation management. It's really important to acknowledge reviews, whether they're good or bad. Take the time to acknowledge it and thank them. Make it short and sweet and professional, especially if it's a negative review. Try to leave out any attitude or any defensiveness. But we really need to be replying to reviews, because it doesn't look good when all these people have left reviews and no one's taken the time to acknowledge it. They took time to leave that review, then you need to take time to say thank you. And if it is a negative review, then short and sweet and professional. And usually I would provide an email address like, we are more than happy to discuss this further with you. Please email us, blah, 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 blah. Don't make all your replies copy and paste, because we'll see that, right? We'll see like, oh, let's take a look at their reviews and see if they're what it's like. Should we use them? And if this is copy and paste, it's like they ain't taken the time to even say thank you. So it's really important that wherever people are leaving reviews, that you acknowledge them and reply. So I funnel all of mine into my Google business listing, but you can also have reviews on your Facebook or say through your own system, if you're using a different booking system and stuff, but definitely encourage those reviews, because A, you can use it in your marketing, but B, it's also feedback. Oops, I clicked. I wasn't ready. No, I want to go back. There, my apologies, I clicked. Optimize every page of your website for location. So maybe you want to learn more about actually doing your own SEO on your site. So if you are interested in, okay, how do I actually now implement this? Put that in the chat, but then also tell me what website platform you're on. WordPress, Shopify, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, because there are definitely steps for each one. And there's YouTube videos, blog posts, they're out there. And so if you're like, I think I might be able to do this myself, you can definitely put that in the chat and put what type of website you have, so that I can provide you with some links and some YouTube videos that are already out there. Also, the other option too, like if you actually need to do SEO, is to find a professional. So obviously those are some services I do. And if your website has been around for a little bit already, it's not brand new, you're not sure, maybe SEO got done, or maybe you dabbled in some of it, I offer, and I would also suggest, regardless of who you go with, an SEO audit, because that allows us to see what has been done, what hasn't been done, is anything proper, is anything missing, all according to Google. And you get a very in-depth report after to see what our next steps are and to help us plan how we can improve that. It's very helpful, because you don't want to just start diving into your SEO if you're not sure where it's at, especially if it's a couple years old, or you've had multiple web designers working on it and you're not sure. The only time we don't go into the SEO audit is if it's a brand new site and they know for sure, no, there is no SEO. Then we would go to the implementation phase instead. Use citations, links, and localized content. There is a lot that goes on to the on-site SEO. And then there's things that you can definitely do. Say you hire a professional for the on-site SEO, there's things that you could also do for the off-site SEO, which is those backlinks, getting on directories, getting a Google business listing and optimizing it and utilizing it. Your social media plays a part also, maybe some blog posts and stuff like that. So it's definitely some things that you can still do to help improve your SEO if you're not comfortable doing the on-site stuff. I'll pop the chat. I think I've got a couple more slides and we will definitely go to the questions, but throw them in there for the questions. Keep them coming. So there's other SEO factors, and this is the stuff I look at when I do an SEO audit for someone. Crawlability, So that technical term is with Google, that they crawl your website to find all the pages and information. Page speed. This is huge, not only for the user experience, but also your SEO. If your website takes a long time to load, people just get frustrated and go somewhere else. But it does affect also your SEO. For many years, I was with GoDaddy and I was happy for a long time, but 2 summers ago, I switched away. I was sick and tired of my site not loading, taking a long time and crashing. And it was just information. There was nothing complicated on it. So I moved over to rebel.com. They are actually mostly out of Ottawa. Their support team is throughout Ontario, but mostly out of Ottawa. And they actually have a server, a web server. So their actual server that hosts the space out of Montreal. And that is huge, where with GoDaddy is somewhere in the States, and that affects our website times. So me and actually quite a few of my own clients moved over to Rebel, and it's been night and day. So GoDaddy and Bluehost are probably one of the worst ones when it comes to hosting. That if I go to someone's site and it's like loading really slow, or I'm getting some errors, I'm like, "You're with GoDaddy, aren't you?" Like, yeah. I'm like, and so sometimes your hosting can affect your page speed, but also what's on your site. Is there are a whole bunch of plugins, like I'm talking about, let's say, a WordPress site. There's a whole bunch of plugins. There's a whole bunch of images. So there's some things that you can do to your site to help make that faster. But then sometimes it's also just even where your website's hosted. Images. So we need to fill out alt title tags for the images. Us as a customer don't see the alt titles of images. It's a back-end thing, but they need to be filled out, and we can put our keywords and phrases in there too, because it helps our images show up in Google images. As we know, when you do a search, you have like all the video, you've got some images. So by doing the alt tags, it helps with your SEO and showing up with search engines, but also helps those images appear in Google search images. And then we have our internal and external links. So what links are internal between our pages, and what links are external and also coming back. Backlinks are a huge, huge factor for Google. And I'd probably say the next one that would be really important is our actual content. Google wants blog posts. They want that type of writing. They want that information on there, that fresh information on a consistent basis. And then duplicate titles and descriptions. If you have more than one page named the same thing, that's a no-no. If you're just copying and pasting descriptions over, no. And content. They don't want duplicate titles, duplicate descriptions, or duplicate content throughout your site. HTTPS. So let's say we have 2 websites. They're the exact same, and there's no difference other than that one has an SSL certificate, so that will show HTTPS, and one does not. And that is through your hosting. So one does and one doesn't, but they're the exact same website. Google will favor the HTTPS. And we're seeing that now. If you don't have SSL on your site, we now get that error that, oh, this is not safe to go to. And you won't have that little lock symbol up in your URL area. Doesn't mean your site is not actually safe. It doesn't mean your site got hacked. Google just wants everyone to have an SSL certificate installed on their website now. So I've had a couple of clients where that expired. It's a yearly thing. And all of a sudden their website stops working. We had to go back in, hit renew, and it was very minimal. It's all through your hosting account. But Google is doesn't show websites anymore, or they're trying to eliminate that if they don't have an SSL certificate on your site, and that's through your hosting or possibly domain. But they will favor those over it. But that's what that means, is you'll see HTTPS and then your www versus HTTP, and you'll see the little lock or not. So some tools and resources when it comes to just your website and SEO and local SEO. Google Analytics, it's free. It's with your Google account. You can connect it to your website. So it helps you see where people are coming from. What are they clicking on your site? Are they coming from the right city that you're promoting to, right? It helps you see marketing wise, what's working, what's not working. Google My Business is also a must-have. It is free and it helps with those local search results and Google Maps, and you can post to it. So it is another must-have. Google Search Console is a great tool. I don't connect it to every single client's website because not all my clients would even utilize it. I at least do Google Analytics, make sure they're on Google My Business. I'll do the SEO, but not always do I connect all of them to Google Search Console just because of technical or skill level for that client. And then you have other resources like Moz, SEMrush, HubSpot, and Ahrefs. Ahrefs is a good one. I say Ahrefs is a good one for YouTube. They have YouTube videos for all sorts of SEO stuff, WordPress specific and other type of websites. Something like Moz is something like me as an agency, I could get signed up and it can help me monitor and do reporting for my SEO clients. But a lot of them do have YouTube videos and either free trials or free resources to help with your SEO skills. All right, so let's open up the questions. 12:42, look at that. And so I'm just gonna, I've got my questions open. I'm just gonna make it a bit bigger just to see. And yes, everyone will receive the recording. Even if you were here today, everyone who registered will get a link where it'll be the recording and the PDF slides and any other information that I include. How does local SEO work when you have multiple locations? So then that is where you could possibly utilize your blog posts to kind of feature different locations. Also your pages. So I've seen a local, actually I don't think they're local, but Brantford lawyer. They're actually a nearby community, but if I go lawyer Brantford, their website will come up. Not their home page though, it's a separate page. So their website would be like their domain / Brantford lawyer or something, or Brantford family law or something like that, that they've used those pages to help target these other cities. Now, do they have the words Brantford all throughout their site? No, they've used a page, possibly a post, so that when I do search those key terms, they're showing up, even if they're actually not located in Brantford, but it's an area that they are servicing. If a website is one of a couple shared under one hosting package, can that negatively affect your SEO? No, no, because I do that too. I have a bigger hosting package that I can actually use that same hosting package for more than one domain. Because they're still separate websites. For me, for example, I still have different domains and I just utilize that large hosting package so I can connect some of that hosting to a different domain, still install WordPress, and it's still a separate site. So no, it wouldn't affect it. It just helps you not having to have multiple accounts for that hosting and be charging, paying for all those different accounts. So it's actually a really smart idea. And no, it doesn't affect your SEO. Now the hosting itself, like the actual company, if it's bad hosting, cheap hosting usually means really cheap service. And so it's not so much how your hosting package is set up. It's more of what that hosting service is like. So like Bluehost is just absolutely awful. Any of my clients that were on it, because I don't provide domain and hosting services. I'll help migrate it. I'll help them set it up, but I don't put any of that information under my name. And so there's certain ones that were just awful. I was like, you got to get off of this, Bluehost hosting, because their site just wouldn't work. And so we got them over to Rebel, but none of that's under my name. I just help with that transition. Web Hosting Canada, yeah, I would say they're a good one. But no, if you're hosting more than one website on that certain package, they're still all separate sites and separate domains. Any other questions? or any other additional information that I can send you when I send out that email. So that email will go out within the next 24 hours. So just keep a look at it. Check your junk. We all know some things go in the junk, especially when it is as a promotional email. In that sense, it's going out through my MailChimp, but it will just be sent to everyone who registered today. It'll have a link to the webinar recording and the slides. And then if there's any other information or blog posts to include based on some questions, I will include that also. We'll have a free webinar near the end of April. So if you have any suggestions on what you'd like that topic to be. So January, we talked about reviewing your 2021 marketing and what tools and where to look and what possibly that could help you with. February, we did a MailChimp. Today, we're talking about local SEO. So we're going to do our last one before the summer will be the end of April, because we do them at the end of the month. So I'm not going to do one at the end of May because we're getting into summer and long weekends. And then at the end of June, it's going to be summer. So we'll pick these back up in the fall, but we have one more that we'll do towards the end of April. So if you have any ideas of what you would possibly like to see, that 45-minute free webinar next month to me, I am all open to topic and ideas, because sometimes this head runs dry of ideas. Yes, so even on my site is where I will put the webinar link replay. So if you go to claritydesigns.ca, I have my information here too. So claritydesigns.ca, and just even at the top of my menu, there's webinars, and those will have the last two, January, February, three, because I did one in December about WordPress. So there will be 3 there that you can access. So is there a site that does an SEO audit? Like a free one? Is that what you're referring to? I'm sure there is somewhere. I'm sure there is. Like for us, we do them. Obviously, it does cost. It's quite an extensive report that you get. You also get a video of me discussing what the report says, because it's a lot of information. And it's actually a lot of information just how SEO works. And then I include a video and an actual, and also at the end of the SEO report is your next steps, your action plan of like, now that we know what's going on, here's some things and your next steps to improve. And that could be something that someone sends to someone to help them with, or sometimes it's for me, as I'm also going to be the one implementing. I'm sure there are, I don't know about SEO. I know like some business will do like a free website review. Like for us, we do free marketing reviews. So if someone wants to get a bit of some honest feedback from someone who's been doing it for 17 years, we offer free marketing reviews, which is also through my website. But a free SEO, I'm not sure. You have to Google that one. Any other questions? So be sure to connect with me on social media, my Instagram and Facebook. The URLs are Clarity Designs CA. We are going to have another free webinar near the end of April. We're just still brainstorming on ideas. So if you have any topic ideas you'd like to see, go ahead and put that in there. And then within the next 24 hours, you will receive the link to this replay and the slides. And then also you'll be able to see like my website and the other webinars that you're all open to. It's all there. And then just stay connected. And if there's anything else I can help you with, like I said, we do offer free marketing reviews. We do have SEO audit and implementation packages. Or if you just need to be pointed in direction of like, hey, I have a WordPress site. I want to dabble some in, by myself. Could you send me some YouTube videos? Because I could definitely send you a handful of YouTube videos and blogs that are already out there that could help you guide you through it. But at the moment, that's it for me. I'll stay on here right till 1 o'clock for just in case there's anyone that has any other questions or wants to connect. Otherwise, you're all good to go and have a good rest of your day. That's what I say to my students, like when I teach the Conestoga. Like, wait a minute,